Dutying again today, and needed to see if the mic is working. Mike, are you working? Mike, are you working? Mike, are you working? I have two mics, two phones, two everything. But somebody will tell me if it's working. Hello, hello. I'm live. Is it? I need somebody live to come in. It doesn't look like I'm getting much sound. That's why I'm talking to you funny. Hey, y'all, just checking in. I was hoping to, have some music in the background, make it more lively. And the first thing I got to do is move it because I am not bright enough. And hopefully no, it doesn't say, I got it brighter. Hey, it's Ask Phyllis Thursday and time to talk about things that matter to us. And right now what matters, James, ooh, you jump on. Okay, first questions. I'm trying to just stay open. I'm just going with flow. That's what today is all about. Go with the flow. It's nice to keep a commitment and just go, I don't have anything I have to really throw at you. I have lots that I am throwing at you on a weekly basis. So I feel like I've talked too much sometimes. So it's just nice to be asked the question and just, okay, how can I help you? Otherwise, I'd have to do a lot of coffees in town, and it's always got some donut or something sweet. And so, let's go out for coffee stuff was making me really fat, and I had to just kind of cut back on that. And this was easier, especially because in Thailand I was such a distance from town. A 45-minute trip into town to answer a question I could have done pretty quickly over the phone. But it's nice to get the intimacy, and I appreciate the one-on-one. So when I'm talking to you, I'm just talking to you. It's just you and me talking, no matter who else is listening. And we always have to worry about CIA, FBI listening. So if they're happy, we're happy. So that's what's going on with me. What's going on with you guys? I could tell you the stuff I'm working on now. I can do some commercials. How about that? Editing. Can you see? Owning masculinity. That's my 24-hour task over the next 2 days. Get the editing done. So I had to print it out last night. And it's really pretty short. I know I'm about 80% done. I know what my final 2 chapters are. I have not written them. But before I did them, I wanted to just make sure I had everything in the order I wanted it, and it flowed as I wanted it to. So the book is about, thank you for asking, someone mentally. It's looking at the He Too movement and what is behind the He Too movement. And I was going to talk about, hey, Jeff, I was going to talk about the He Too movement and why it should be marched on. But that wasn't direction I knew we needed to go. We needed to, yes, acknowledge it, apologize for it. I'm taking the Ho'oponopono approach. And then start looking at how do we appreciate where we're at and go from there and thrive instead of just survive. And it's speaking to mostly Western men. If they've had any religious indoctrination and they've had Christianity, Islam, or Judaism, they may have been of an age that they were circumcised. And that's probably the biggest issue I addressed initially, is that the first sexual abuse to the masculine. And then what we understood from growing up in those cultures and the sexual repression that happens. And then the socializations into sexuality, looking also, I spent a whole chapter on male anatomy and what we know today from my hanging out with and attending the Quad S, which is the Society for the Study of Sexuality, right? Quad S. And that was, thank you, that was a eye opener for many years, and just going, what do we know new? I love the event I went to. I think it was in San Francisco. I went to that one, and they had like a 6-foot vagina moving anatomically correct during orgasm. I was like, wow. It was, you don't get that every day. Even if it was porn, it'd look a little different. But this was anime drawing, and it was just amazing just to see it up close and see what we know, and understanding that how female orgasms really work. I was like, wow, well, there's some science we could use. So it was just nice to have that scientific approach to the pleasures of our body and understanding that. So that's the chapter on male anatomy that I've been looking at. And I really should, I'm really talking about the medical, I'll talk about the pleasure stuff. See, every time I think I'm done, I go, oh, we should add something else. Let's talk about that. So thank you for making me think about it. And that's that. And then if you're local, my other favorite community service to do is Reiki circles. That's English and there's a Spanish, but just free Reiki circles. A lot of people have been trained on Reiki, and it's a nice way to introduce gentle, complementary healing modalities that are old, foreign for these parts, since it's a Japanese practice of energy medicine. And just finding and connecting with healers in town. And I think it's just a nice, gentle process. And for those that want it, need it, it's free. So how do we start our no money world unless we give our time and our services free? And I think that's kind of the best way for me to do this. And the same while being online, it's just, hey, it's free. Get it right, it's free. So that's what I'm here for today, is to give it free. And it's limited because I'm keeping my clothes on, so I don't have to worry about that. Those days are over. But it's amazing still to kind of get the request for sexuality in any age and any ability. So it's a compliment, yes, but it's still kind of like, oh. Still, that's all I'm at. I'm still just that to people, and that's okay too, because it's still the first awareness, the first, oh, there's something there. So it's still a compliment. I'll take it. All right, I do have to remember to answer a question that was posed to me, and that was from a brother who is traveling with his partner, and she and him are, hitting that. We're not doing it the same way or have the same goals in our trip spot. And I'm like, yep, that happens. And planning is a tough one. And it's interesting what I always learned in my experience about being with a partner and doing a road trip. It's a good test for relationships. It's a good, well, let's see how this is really working out. And is there, are we going to rub each other raw from just being in the same local piece together for a long period of time? Oh, Gina Bean, how you doing, Mama? And I'm talking about traveling with your partner, Mama, and talking about what that world is like. It was a test for me um, if I could get along with someone, and and I thought I was pretty easy to go with. I like stopping and looking, and I also like getting there in a decent time. So I can put the pedal to the metal when I need to, but I do want to stop and smell the roses as well along the way. So I make sure I let my partner know I want to stop here and here, and at least two other things that are interesting for a photo opportunity. So it's not. It can be planned in mentally and emotionally and physically. And I remember traveling as a military kid with my dad. You know, we had to get from Texas to North Carolina in 24 hours. And it was like, are you kidding? And one of the things that was interesting, and I lived in America back in the green stamp days, or the green book days, when you had to find places to stay. And so when you planned your travel, it was simply based on how far south do we have to go, and what time of the day do we want to go through certain states. So, and that's still kind of the same. It's different countries, different stories, but we do that same kind of planning. So for me, planning was always part of the reality. It was make a good plan, and then you can deviate, and it makes it easier. So back to the couple. Their challenge is a little more, I think, more about mission and purpose of what they're doing together. And, you know, when you're living with someone and you get to see their habits uh, up close, and especially with travel, you get to see it on a minuscule level. But and if you're backpacking and you're doing it on the cheap, you know, you don't have any maid service coming in and making you look good. You have to really think about your stuff and how exposed, how often you're going to wear it, how much you can tolerate your own smell, and where do you want to do with your time. You know, I found interesting, it wasn't until my first husband James and I did a cruise, and I really saw a difference in our styles then. When we were together on a boat for a week, I was happy to sit up on our balcony and watch the ocean be two colors: white sky or light blue sky and darker blue ocean. That was all you would see, any direction. It was worse than a movie set. It was just like, huh, this is it. This is it. Just these two colors, and for miles, and they're unending. And that my partner was happy to read and distract himself with other things. And when I got tired of that, I wanted to go look at people. But I was happy to sit in that emptiness space, and um, that was cool too. And I'm like, it didn't bother me. It just was like, oh, all right, if we had time like this, and made me think, what if we were deserted on an island? We'd be working and eating and making love. That's all we'd be doing. That was all there needed to be done. So that's the best part. And staying out of the rain and not getting eaten alive by bugs. So I'd have fun because discovering a new island would be awesome. But that is not always somebody's goal. So what do you do when you're rubbing each other and getting on each other's nerves and you're in close quarters? You sit down first and have a hopoponopono. I'm sorry, we're not communicating well. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. I love you, and I want to work this out. And please forgive me. I'm not going to always get it right. So in the beginning, you start with 0 point. You clear the air for each other to be able to speak and communicate to each other. So it needs to be part of your practice, because remember, we are beings in duality. Okay, here's the real lesson part. We're beings in duality. Gina, thank you, honey. I love you being here. And it's like, go smoke one, and then and we'll do that afterwards, and we can chat and catch up. But being beings in duality, our goal is to be in a neutral space so that we're not triggered and pulled by story, which is fear, laughter, politics, religion, belief, expectations, those triggers, but we're just observing them in this human thing because the triggers are what that get us. And it's the triggers that how we are manipulated. I hate that part. And it's our stories, religion, politics, love, sex, women, men, isms, sexism, racisms, all of those. It's that story that keeps manipulating us. And we are just energetic beings in this casing. And if you think of us kind of like, remember the underwater deep sea divers with the big old copper helmets and the case, get down to the ocean. We have limited visibility. We have a limited ability to walk, move, hear, taste, see. That's what living in these skin suits, I like to say mind has wings, is all about. We have limited, but we know we are much more and we can do much more. So because of the limitations, and that includes hearing the ancestors, speaking to the other side, being clairvoyant, all those skins. We're in the skin suits. And it's the more we open up that pineal and pituitary gland connection to consciousness, conscious living, 5D, whatever you want to call it, then we turn on more of the light cells in our own body. And to do that, it is a work. It's eating right, it's sleeping, it's doing the meditations, doing whatever it takes for your sign, who you are, your purpose to follow your path, to win the matrix. That's what winning the matrix is about, being your best self, doing what you came here to do. You're not in a competition with no one but yourself, to be your best self. And when you can get to that, we're winning. And you do that next to someone you love. If you have that same goal, it's easier. But we get distracted on our goals. And we have to ask ourselves, okay, what do we want now? It's a different year. It's a different set of energies. It's the year of the pig. Hoo. And for us pigs, we get to plan our lives accordingly if we do our homework. And if we do the jobs we're supposed to do, then we excel, and we can't be lazy. We have to do our best work, but we do well. And any of the signs that get along with the pig, for some of us, it's lay low and plan ahead. Next year is better, but everybody gets a good year, and it's just my year. Oh, it's big year, and I'm trying to bring the best I can to as many as I can. My goal for pumping good is like all day, all I want to do, give out as much good as I can and see where that takes me. See what kind of flow that will bring. So when we get to 0 point, back to polarity, it is a peaceful place. It is a euphoric place that's described. And it is that center point from duality, or polarity, right? It's both of those. And that's that being in balance. That's that nothing bothers me. And I'm observing it in real life, in my own life. One night I was at a party recently, and I wear the white and I still drink the red wine. And as I was leaving, I got bumped by a sister, and it was an accident, and I was totally covered. Every piece I had on, shoes, jackets, pants, shirts, everything, it was covered. So I started peeling off, and after I went, okay, I only have a sports bra and I have no underwear on, so I can't take off my pants. I got to go home. But took care of it, bought the cleanup stuff, and wasn't bothered by it. It was the interesting thing, and it was easy with the particular personality to just go, but it wasn't there. The thought came twice. I could be mad. And I went, what's to be mad over? It's an accident, spilled wine on whites. Don't we all know better? So I just was amused at my own ability, though, that I can get over myself. So I was grateful for that. So it's been fun. Okay. Hey, Mama. Thank you, Miss Ayana. It's good seeing your sister, Gina Bambina. Oh, love you guys. And it's been an adventure. I was really hoping to be in my new studio and show you that, but we're having construction going on across the street, so I can't. I'm back in the living room, and it's still pretty. It's still comfy. It still works. So, did I answer that question, brother? I'm sorry, Justin. I got a little distracted. I'm looking at two cameras, so it's like, okay, I get questions over here. I'm like, okay, and one's over here. I have to look two ways. So forgive me if I get distracted. I'm not high, um, not yet. So that's for after work. So we gotta do left brain stuff today. And the left brain stuff is to get as much done as we can. And one of the things I'm going to really push some envelopes here, and y'all will be the first ones to hear this. I have decided I want to know information, and information that most of us on the planet don't want to know. And I went, I want to know. I'm that kind of gal. I want to know. I believe I am mature enough and can handle it enough to find out, which I'm told I have there's two planned options. I think I've had more than two because I felt like I've had several options to leave this mortal coil. That's right. I want to know, when do I die? And the Vedics know it. And I'm like, y'all need to don't be telling me I can't know or I'm not mature enough to know. If I'm mature enough to ask, I'm mature enough to know. And so my focus has been to get the information and find out what I can. And why? It's a real big question. So I'm a deaf doula. End of life consultant is another name for that. But it is the reason I work with people, because when you know you are dying, you think in such a space of neutral polarity and 0 point daily. Now, you go through the emotions of grief. Thank you, John. Well, yes, I'll try to be. Anyway, conscious dying, I wanted to talk about. It is a work that makes you look at that choice regularly. And what does that look like? And how is that? And it's sobering as shit. That much I can tell you. It's sobering as hell. But it's the best experience I have seen for getting your shit together. Period. Period. Not divorce, not cheating, not making money, not being poor. None of that. None of that. None of those life experiences. Nothing compares to knowing when you're going to die. Oh, Miss Melody. Hey, gorgeous. How are you? So because of that, I'm like, well, I want to know too. And there was that sci-fi movie in the US about there was a clock that we all had, an internal clock, in that game and the fear that was created in that world. And I need to look at that because I've only seen parts of it and I didn't pay attention to it. But as we look at time and going, well, we all have a check-in and a check-out date in this incarnation game. And as I understand from Western astrology, there are two dates that you can choose. And the other piece of this is that we don't want to stay longer than we have to. I think that's amazing. And so it makes you look at the starving children in Africa a whole lot differently. You just need to come in, learn some quick lessons, and get out. In the old song, "Only the Good Die Young," I'm like, uh-oh. And yet on the other side, I believe it was the Dalai Lama or Buddha, I'm getting those two confused now, who said, pray that you live a long life so that you can learn all the lessons in this one and you don't have to repeat it in the next one. So I'm like, oh, well, shoot. Okay, let's learn. Let's get to it. Let's figure this out. because we need to bring in that duality of the masculine and feminine into ourselves. Hey, David, how you doing? And it's that piece of us that is not whole yet. And that's what owning masculinity is looking at, is where the parts that have been broken in the masculine side, and that we can address it, both masculine and feminine, fixing that duality thing that keeps setting us apart. Because we have such a false pyramid of beliefs that we have been raised on. And when we get down to each level of the root of that, religion is built on a root set of fear and behavior patterns that for protection, not all bad. I'm not trying to put down a religion. It's good for what it's good for. And like James used to say, even a broken clock is right twice a day. So give it the points it deserves. However, the more we know, the more we go, oh, well, it's not quite like that. There's more to this. As they say, it's complicated. And the complications of this life, I could never buy that when we get to heaven, it'll be all right. And I hear it in the New Age community as well. When the event happens, it's going to be all right. The money is going to reset. Everything's going to be perfect. And I'm like, yeah. Maybe from hindsight, as a historical point of view, yeah, it'll probably be a short period of time. But when you're on the ground playing, it's going to take a minute. And we're on the ground playing. And it's one thing to have the historical perspective of it, which other beings who don't have to deal in time have. But we are still in the skin suits. We have time. Time is speeding up, and we're seeing the rapid movement of our thoughts to reality. And those blending, and some of us are having our multidimensional selves come home, doppelgangers seeing, skin having crystalline reflections in it. I've seen it in mine, but I'm not quite buying it. I think I've always seen it, so I'm not going, not seeing that yet. And the Schumann resonance peaking at 150, that's a little suspicious because it's done it 2 months in a row on the same date, same time for 24 hours. I'm like, and spiking at 150, which is kind of through the roof from where we've been at 7.83 it was. So given those changes, it's, we don't know what's coming. We just don't know. And being on the ground, we can't see the perspective. We have lots of channelers that'll tell us lots of different stories. And I'm like, take it with a grain of salt. It's their perspective. It's their viewpoint. And I was always suspicious of the certain Pleiadians like Cobra, who now comes out to be actually reptilian and just more of a spy. And when I met him, I went, there's something wrong with that boy. He did not fit his body. And so now I go, oh, yeah, guess so. You're a walk-in, that works. Booty! Oh, mwah, mwah, mwah. Booty! Booty is on, y'all. Booty from Thailand. This Booty is my mom home, who I miss dearly. And Booty, I'm just talking about sex, baby. No, I'm talking about dying and being conscious and awake and paying attention and making sense of where we are now. And it's beautiful here in Ecuador. It's it's not always spring. Like 77. I've been using Western time or Western temperatures. Probably about 20. It's about 20 here, so it's nice here. And I love it. I love it. I love it. Indoors and no aircon. Don't need it. No heat. Got a bed. Don't have to make a fire. liking it and loving it. And yes, Michael's probably going to come in the fall, so I'll see him. But having a good life here. And I would love you to come. I have been collecting seeds for you. I got seeds for you, Mama. The fruit is amazing. And they're going to love it on the farm. So you'll get them in the fall. You'll get the seeds. But I'm just collecting all the seeds that come from here. And trying to stay healthy. It's not as polluted air-wise as Thailand, but it is. It has its Monsanto, the pesticides, the chemicals are here, so they're here too. And I hope you're wearing a mask. Do you need a mask in on the farm? Is the air bad? Give me a thumbs up if the air is good. And let me know what's going on there. Gina, what's going on with you, Mama? Tell me stories. When you going back? I'm coming your way. That's probably mention that. I got a conference to do in sometime this summer, late June, July. So I hope to make it. Eric, how you doing, cutie? Oh my God. All my Thailand peoples I love. Me too. It's so nice to be a part of this conscious community that moves around. It's always a party when I see you. It always makes me want to dance and, sing and be happy. Yeah. So I'm going to do what needs to be done and get that way. Doing events here, doing retreats here like I did in Chiang Mai. Ooh, got some cool stuff here. Cool modalities too, and body healers that do a thing called the Bowen tech. And I best describe it as kind of cranial sacral for the whole body, because it's just kind of like, those little ding, ding, in the back and movement, and you're like, well, he didn't do much, but then you get up and go, oh, something shifted, and you walk differently and you move differently. And so I said, hey, bro, come help us out and hook us up. There's color light therapy here, of course. But it's the water. Let me tell you about the waters, y'all. We have Hunza, Hunza. Look it up. There's only 2 places on the planet that has it. And voila, this is one of them. The other one's in Pakistan, so I wouldn't come here. And it is a glacier, the mountain glacier water. And that's where the Vilcabamba River comes from. So we get glacier water here that you can and I have a video on Instagram of me going, just drinking the water from a little mini stream of water coming down that I'm going to take you to and get some of that water here when you're here, because it is unbelievable. And Pomarosa are these rose apple is the translation, but it's not like the rose apple in Thailand. It's green, it's kind of oval shape, has a big brown seed in it. And when you open it up, it's a thin skin. It's like a 1/4 inch skin, and you eat the whole thing. But when you bite into it and you smell it, it is rose water. You're biting into a fresh rose water sweet fruit. It's like, oh my goddess. It is amazing. And I cannot wait for the season to come in again, because I am going to go to every Pomarosa tree. I made a Pomarosa pie. Oh, it was slap your mama and your daddy good. It was amazing. So that's what you'll get to experience. And that's when I knew I was in the Garden of Eden, because I went, what? And there are fruits here, and I eat fruit everywhere in the world I can go. I eat all the fruit I can get my hands on, because I want to sample the fruit. That's the best that our planet has to offer to me, and it's gifts to us. It was a Garden of Eden everywhere, in my humble opinion. So, but this fruit is amazing. And those are the seeds I'm sending you, Booty. You'll get them because you will not believe how delicious these are. And they should be able to grow there. The summer may be a little tough on them, but we'll see. I haven't gone through a summer here yet, so we'll see how warm it gets. I'm told 80s, so not that bad. But it is an amazing space. And so I'm doing tours here. Ooh, 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 come here. And you get everything I've got to offer, and the healers, and the mountain hike, and the waterfall, and the horseback riding. Ah, but Ecuador is beautiful and a great place to retire. It's more expensive than Thailand. Definitely more expensive than Thailand. At least double what I spent in Thailand. But Thailand's cheap, or it was. I don't know how y'all doing now. The air is not cheap, that's for sure. Or even hard stuff. And what else can I tell you about Ecuador? Oh, they use the American dollar. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but there's no. It is kind of odd. When I first got here, I kept translating it into baht and going, okay, how much baht is it? Like, oh no, okay. But now I'm getting better at it's $1 for this, it's $1 for that. It's doable. And I've been meeting people that do drive down here from the States. And when I initially read some of the reviews about driving down, it was like, no, it's kind of dangerous. However, state departments aren't reporting anything, and you're not going through Venezuela. So you can come down, and people are going up and down the coast. So I was pretty impressed. I met a couple who've done it with their dog on a motorcycle. And I'm like, really? Okay. So that is for the adventurous. I've met an older brother from Florida who drives all up and down South America. So come on down. Hey, Miss Mazzella. Marty, how you doing, Mama? Glad to know you're there. Sister, I have some news for you if you want to chat one day. I'll happy to share that with you. But Ecuador, it's the bomb, ain't it, Mazzella? We are represented. There is some color down here in south of the border, and that was the fun thing. Is as soon as you see black folks, you like, oh, you got to be American, but not always so. I meet some folks that don't speak a word of English. I'm like, oh, Afro Latino, right on, and just do my little bit of Spanish and keep on going. When Polarity season, it was on when I got here in November. So I'm going to say probably, and it looked like it stopped in January. So I'm October through January, as I'm hoping, but I'm told it really kind of year round. So we'll have 2 seasons, but I do go out and check all the time. And I have seen fruit in the spots that I go to along the river. So there is Pomerose out here. So I say, let's come and let's enjoy it. I want to have a Pomerosa festival. Make Pomerosa pie, Pomerosa jam. There's Pomerosa wine. I had it, but it was already turned to vinegar, so I had to pass on that one. But whew, we did a cacao festival here. Oh, Melody, that was the bomb. Only thing I didn't have was the food splashing. So what I would love to do. Yeah, no, welcome, Mama. It is a beautiful spot here. And so that's it. Living in conscious communities and conscious spaces. Even in paradise, you can still not get along with your partner, as most of us have had that experience. And I still remember that the prime directive of relationship is to help us grow spiritually faster. It's harder. It's harder. And I was talking to a couple about trying to struggle through polyamory, and I went, it ain't gonna be easier. It's harder. It works for people who have high needs for relationships, and there are personalities that way, but often you're not partnered with that person. And so your needs may not be their needs. And that's simply a communication issue. You need to know earlier rather than later. And we don't ask enough questions. That's kind of it. Yeah. We don't ask, we don't talk. And I'm surprised. Why am I surprised? Surprised we haven't gotten better at it. I tell you, when I was a missionary for 12 years, 1980 through 1992, from age 20 to 32, when my boobs were still perky. So I had total celibacy, no masturbatory highs, nada. And I'm getting funny, but oh, Melody, are you friends with Timothy? Go tell him I'm live and get him on here. That would be a mess to mess with his head because he's a mess. 2032, perky boobs, celibate, and not. I'm just thinking how much I did not know. And when by choice, by going, okay, I'm pulling back. I'm not getting into the world. I became a Christian 1980. And so AIDS hadn't hit. So we were just still free loving and free basing still back in the day before rock and roll got dangerous. And yeah, he just sent me a message. So pop on a message and get on him. And so then I go in, I'm drying everything up, making this choice to study this Bible thing and figure out what they got to say. And then 12 years later, I come out and go, okay, what's happening? Where have we advanced? And, I came by, we were fighting feminism was still our march. And then, Lord, I got around Christians and, it went into another bubble. Like, what a bubble. Or blinders, when we say how I looked at the world very differently with a different set of lenses. I don't know what color Christian lenses would be, but they're kind of a harsh one. They're kind of that black and white judgmental thing. And it was, but coming out in 92, I was really disappointed how little we were talking to each other. Because the first thing I really wanted to do was get laid again. And I finally let myself do that. And, it took I was back in grad school. No, not in grad school. I was gone back and finished my undergraduate. And I was like, we're not gotten any better with the communication. And because of that, that's why I went back to BDSM, because I went, we have rules. We have rules of engagement. And it was, expectations of behaviors, and that I liked. We were planners, let me put it that way. We planned our sexual experiences. And some of us, like our friend Tim, were quite good at it. And we highly respected his imagination and his creativeness that he could bring to a dungeon. That boy could bring a party. What can I say? So I'm going to try to reach him, because he's just a funny guy. Y'all need to know him. Let's see if I can make that happen. So religion box did not help my awareness. And even now, as I'm in this experience of this world and this viewpoint from the perspective of 59, I really had 3 partners. And I can't even really, 3 partners, leave it at that. And looking at our sexual awareness now, and when I've focused my mind, because I'm like, aren't y'all seeing the same articles I'm seeing? Is that assumption I always make wrongly. And, oh, is that Sebastian? Oh, no, it's Sylvia. I see you. I love trying to figure out your little dots up there. I'm like, whose curls of hair are swirling around? I know 2 hair swirlers. Sylvia, you love Sebastian too. And it's what I love about all my friends. They love all each other too. And I'd love to have a party with all of y'all and fly you all here and have a party. And that's what I want to do with Water Woman, which I don't think it'll be called Water Woman. It'll be called something else. But Hola, amiga. It's my landlord. Alex. Oh my gosh. See, all my cool friends. You guys would all have a great time together at a party, which was one of the best experiences. Why I love getting married and why I was very happy to do it a couple. Had 4 weddings to 2 men. I'm kind of pleased with that. And the fun part of it has been that because you invite all the people you like. That's the cool part. There's nobody there you don't like because you only invite the cool ones you like and you want to spend time with. So, hey, John, thanks for joining. So it's kind of cool to have weddings just for reasons to get together, which is why I like throwing parties. And so being here and doing events and throwing parties is just pig paradise for me. And I've had some fun parties, especially in LA. And it was Mistress Cyan who just put up a post because of Women's History Month. And when I was a title holder, was that 2010? It's 2011, I think I did the event. So 8 years ago, that um, I did the Women's Day professional dominatrix panel. And so we'll rewrite history. That's how that went down. So it was nice to do that and celebrate that with women who I admired and loved and got to hang out with and got to be on Melody's show. Oh my God, did we have fun on your show? Oh, girl, you had some wild times. We had some stories that we were telling. Hey, Tip. Oh, flower power, baby. Oh, I like that idea. I did a thing based on ley lines, and I did an interview with a guy. It's on my YouTube channel under the Goddess University um, page, and that was a guy who said, what did we call it? Basically, the concept is if you do a love making act within a 200-mile radius of a conflict, you can heal the conflict because wars are started on ley lines because they're powerful. That's why we're all spending all that time in Afghanistan and Iraq. We're blowing up shit there all the time. And it was Obama who blew up a university library that brought my attention to it and went, why did you pinpoint a library? I mean, to me, libraries are sacred ground. How dare you? And that's a despot who, when they start destroying the intelligentsia of people, despots, that's what they do. So I went, oh, let's see what the current despot was doing, as we do that all the time. So we're not just not. I'm not picking on Obama. All of our presidents have been in wars, and we've got a nasty history about that. Anyway, so he blew up a thing on a ley line. Then 2 days later, whoop, that ley line comes across America. It's called the Silk Road ley line in the Arab world, but it's the Mason-Dixon line in the US. And that's when, I can't think of the kid's name, in Missouri got shot. He was on the ground kneeling and was killed by the police. And that was when that big uproar in Missouri happened. Because when you do violence on a ley line, it reverberates and causes violence someplace else. So, And so I interviewed her. Peter Champeau is his name, and interviewed him and just said, why? And the planet is alive. It's a nerve ending. Ley lines are nerve endings. And where there are portals is where people want to go to. And Stargate, those are real things. They really have those gates that you can't open and go through them. Those are the mechanical ones made by the military. There are natural ones in the planet, accesses to caves, etc., hollow earth. I haven't seen it myself, but I'm looking. And when I go, I'm taking you with me. So when I find one, I'll go. But that's why I want to live at yin vortexes. Chiang Mai was a yin vortex as well as right here. And this is a particularly unique one because it's yang as well as yin. You've got mountains and water at the same time. And so you've got four rivers converging into one. Call that a super yin vortex. So where there's natural places on the planet, again, it's tons of water. We get glacier water. So there's glaciers down under here that we can access. That's the water you want to drink. That's the place you want to, the caves you want to get to if you need to. And I'm all about the prepping as a military kid. I can't help it, y'all. I remember used to get high in bunkers, not not something we took for granted. You know, there's always going to be somebody trying to kill you. And when you grow up with in the military, that's a reality, and you prepare for it, and you just keep enjoying your life with a little more gusto. Back to making me think about knowing when you're going to die. I want to know so I can plan appropriately. And I knew one of the things my aunt told me when I was younger. She said, you live your life backwards, Phyllis, where most people work 40 years, retire, and then travel and see the world. I had already traveled around the world 3 times. She said, only thing you have to look forward to is 40 years of working. And I went, oh, no, no, we're going to do it differently. And so I looked at my life by 10-year blocks of time. Unbeknownst to me, the Taoists do the same thing. They look at it as your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. What do you accomplish in those periods of times, and what can you get done? Hey, Laura, how you doing, Mama? So it's been an interesting way for me to kind of plan out my life and look at it as this kind of stair step thing. And I remember my father saying, "Don't peak early," you know, and that's when he was such a cool dad, because it was when I didn't get picked for the cheerleading squad. And he encouraged me and said, you don't want to be the star early in life. You want to save it to the end, Mama, save it to the end. Have a big finish before you go out. So I was like, see you, Mama, take care. Hey, Christopher, hey. It was important for me to pay attention to those lessons. And he gave me some foundational advice, and he still gives me advice. I don't always get to hear his voice, but I have once, and that was the most profound experience I've had. Oof. Beyond the Kundalini awakening, that was kind of like a railroad train of energy hitting my body. I was like, whoa. And I've met some people, I've met them personally, that have had that multiple times. And I don't know if I want that. It's like, ow. It was powerful and painful. And just when we talk about light bodies, there's an amount of heat that goes with that light. And I know my experience with that Kundalini was just like, whew, that was good, but I don't know if I could do that all the time. That was pretty intense. And one I respect and understand. When the body wakes up and turns on, you ain't kidding. It's a light switch, literally, a very powerful light switch that happens. And it is light punching through your body like a freight train. That's Kundalini. And yes, it came at the end of the tip of an orgasm for me, which was a nice introduction, but that was more than what I bargained for. So I was kind of like, whoa, that happened. And I love how people say to me, you know, when I say, and then I went to Burning Man and my Kundalini shifted, how many times that has happened there. And I went, must be that Schumann resonance thing again. Because one of the things I love about Burning Man experiences, and why I've gone to 4 of them around the world, is that because you get to this elevated space of this constant high, and you don't need drugs. That was the interesting part. I mean, people would offer them to me and I'm like, I can't tell the difference. I'm so good right now. I mean, from marijuana to mushrooms to MDMA and ecstasy, I was like, yeah, Don't need it. And it was an amazing experience just to be at the manifestation stuff. That was the stuff that was so cool. And I met a group of artists and they'd sit around and have coffee in the morning. And then they'd plan out what they wanted to see manifest that day. And then they would time it and see how long it took. And I went, you can do that? I said, okay, well, let's practice that. And that's when I said, well, I want a Kundalini. And I got it. It took 2 hours, but I got it. Actually, no, probably 3.5 because it was breakfast was early. Got out at 9 o'clock, starting to get wandering looking for it. And actually had forgotten about it because didn't know, you never know what you'll wander to when you're in the flow at Burning Man. And there's a tropical burn coming in June here. And at the same time, I'm supposed to be in Europe doing a conference. So I don't think I'll get to it this year, but I sure wanted to do the tropical burn in Brazil. Melody, drive on down to Brazil, mama. You're going to love that. We can do a burn. And I know another sister who just got her RV. We could do a caravan. Ooh, wouldn't that be fun? They are amazing. But and I'm trying to think of the woman's name. She's got a cute little name. Not Penny, somebody. Penny Curry, Penny. She's what's her work about? How do I describe her? She knows her Schumann resonance. She's on a level of consciousness that is up there. Up there. I pay attention to her, but she's one I got to listen to a couple of times and go, oh, okay, it's like that. All right. Got it. But I'm loving this. I'm loving understanding consciousness. It is just, oof. I mean, my first fetish, literally, is learning. And it always has been. It is necessary for my sexual pleasure. And I need to learn a lot, so I'm good. Give me a new subject, and that partner is usually another good subject. But when I can learn about our spiritual and sexual beings all in one, that's good for me. That's good for me. It works wonderfully. So I'm hoping to do more of that with each Burning Man experience. And this book, Owning Masculinity, the response to the He Too movement. And let's see what we can make difference with that. Well, it has been another freaking hour. I have spent taking your time and your day, and I am thrilled to be able to see you again and know that you are well and love on you and share a moment with you. I'm going to do some ASMR work soon, and I'm told I have the voice for it, so I'm going to be working on that and bringing that to you. But it's still always a joy just to share. Love on you. I miss y'all. My friends are the best. The best. Because they're tolerant of me. So I'm woohoo. Hallelujah. And thank you, Melody. Thank you all for hanging out with me and spending some time. Chris had a great time, had a great party. Love y'all. And if you can't be good at it. Namaste, y'all. Namaste, y'all.